Crime, Wine, and Chaos contains adult language and graphic content. Listener discretion is advised.
Oh, hey, Chaos Kids. I'm Amber.
And I'm Naomi. And this is Crime, Wine, and Chaos. Oh, you know what? I needed that. Good. Hey, sissy.
Hey, sissy.
I need a little dance it out.
Yeah. We are sort of matchy today in our
Are we? Are we in our black tank tops?
Mm-hmm.
It's tank top season.
It really is.
Tank top season.
God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
How's it going? What's going on with you?
Oh, nothing. So I just finished dinner and I made I'm going to mispronounce it, but the sandwiches that you told me to make.
Muffalata.
Yeah, I made muffalata.
How did that turn out?
They were delicious.
Mm-hmm.
They were so delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
love a muffalata.
Thanks for the recommendation.
Yeah, 100%. You got it.
Yeah. Delich.
Yeah, right on.
What about you?
That's it? That's what you got? Muffalata?
Well, that's what I got. Well, I mean, that was exciting. Let's see. By the time this is released, it will be past this. So I can safely say I am going out of town this weekend.
Oh.
And I'm so excited. I'm going to put out a PSA that unless you're bleeding out, don't call me.
Right. Where are you guys going?
We're going to Seaside.
Nice.
I know, which weirdly I've never been to Seaside. I think I've been through it, but I've never stayed there.
Oh, well, that'll be nice.
Yeah. What about you?
I love that for you. I got nothing, sissy. I've had a couple of hours to get here that just, I felt like I was struggling. I've been on the struggle bus the last couple of hours, and I'm just glad to be here. And honestly, I just want to dive right in because I'm on crime this week, and I've got this story to tell you. And one, it's gonna be long for us, like the longer than usual. If I go strictly by pages, it's the longest I've written since I've started doing any of these with you. This is by far the most pages I've ever written for a story. Also, can you hear that?
I cannot. I know.
I just saw the top of his head there.
That little fucker, get him. Naomi's got, what is it? Like a bulldozer?
I don't know. It's like this little mini bulldozer pusher backhoe. I don't know what it is. But
going down your street?
Like my next door neighbor is clearly doing some major landscaping, and this guy's been going back and forth past my window for the last half an hour, and it is so loud. And I just like, what is he doing? It is dinner time. It is time to go home. The day is done. Sorry. Anyway, I want to get into it.
I can't hear it.
Okay, well, that's great news. Jeremy will be like, oh, I totally fucking hear it, and it's ruined everything. So anyway, sorry about the bad audio, guys. I can't control everything, even though I try and wish I could. This story, I almost did this for the live show when I initially found the story. It's a local Seattle event. It happened in Seattle. But then when I started digging in, a couple of things, it's really fucking brutal. And I thought that would be a little bit too much of a downer for a live show where we wanted to be entertaining. And also it turns out that the journalist for The Stranger who wrote the one of the articles that I found on it, he actually won a Pulitzer Prize for this particular article and his reporting on this story. Yes, the story he wrote for The Stranger is called The Bravest Woman in Seattle. But he also went on to write a book. It's called While the City Slept. The journalist is Eli Sanders. And then I decided, well, if I really want to do the story justice, I need to read that book. So I have been intermittently reading this book and putting together the story for like 6 or 8 weeks now.
Wow.
So this is a mamma jamma. All the trigger warnings right out the gate. We might take a while to record because this is going to be hard to hear some parts of it. I will let you know when we get to the worst of it, but it's an important story. So I'm just going to get right into it. Okay. Okay. I'm going to tell you about Teresa Butz and Jennifer Hopper.
Okay.
Do these names mean anything to you?
No.
I had never heard the story before, and I don't know how I didn't because this was a huge, huge case. So it was the early morning hours of July 19th, 2009. an unusually warm summer in Seattle. In the South Park neighborhood, which is just south of Georgetown and west of SeaTac Airport, and the north side of the neighborhood is defined by the Duwamish River. One resident was just putting her newborn infant back to bed after a 3 a.m. feeding when she heard outside the sound of breaking glass. So she peeked through her bathroom window. At the same time, she heard a scream, and she could see a few houses down and across the street what looked like someone falling out of a window.
Oh my
So
God.
her first thought was that someone was trying to break into the house, which she knew was shared by two women. She didn't know the women, but she knew that two women lived there. She went to wake her husband and call 911, and she was met with a recording and was on hold for what felt like a really long time.
She called 911 and got a recording?
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
Yeah. So
Okay.
another neighbor also heard the breaking glass and walked in the direction of the sound to see what was going on. And he encountered a woman in the middle of the street. She was naked, covered in blood, screaming for help.
Oh.
He ran back to his house, grabbed his sister, told her to call 911, and she's on her cell phone calling 911, and they both ran back to the screaming woman. And that's when they realized there was another woman in the street, laying in the street, actually, and she was also naked and clearly covered in bloody wounds.
Oh my God.
These neighbors, along with a few others, did what they could to help these women staunch the bleeding. One of the neighbors even cradled the head of the woman on the ground and was telling her, like, help is coming. But help did not come soon enough. So the police and medical response took a while, partly because the police had to make sure the area was safe before the medics were allowed to proceed in. The woman on the ground would die there in the street. The screaming woman would survive and be taken to Harborview and only find out much later that her partner was dead. And she learned this from the detective assigned to her case.
Okay, why they're outside. What do you mean they had to secure before the medics could go in? Like even to the street?
I guess.
Since when?
I don't know.
Okay. What the fuck? Okay.
The woman who died in the street was Teresa Butz, and the woman who screamed for help for her dying partner was Jennifer Hopper.
Okay.
Teresa and Jennifer had been living together in Teresa's little house in the modest neighborhood of South Park for almost 2 years, almost as long as they had been together. So, who is Teresa? Teresa Butz was born October 19th, 1969, the ninth of 11 children in a loud Irish-German Catholic family in St. Louis, to mother Elaine Dolly Butz.
I love everything about that.
They call her Dolly, and her father, Norbert Butz Sr. Teresa was what many would call a tomboy. She liked to keep her hair short. She played sports, most notably soccer and softball. She was really good at both. She was just naturally athletic. Teresa never really had boyfriends, even in college, but no one really considered the idea that she might be gay. I get the sense that this Catholic family just didn't have it in their realm of possibility that like one of their kids might be gay.
Sure. Right.
So it's no surprise that Teresa was well into adulthood before she had her first relationship with a woman. And it would seem that her upbringing and her faith made it difficult for her for a time to be okay with being gay.
Yeah.
I mean, she was born in 1969, right? So like she became an adult in, you know, like the late 80s, right? Like there was there was a part in the book where one of her sisters-in-law recounts a time when she and Teresa were on a church women's retreat, and Teresa broke down crying and basically tried to pray the gay away.
Oh no.
And she really struggled with that. Yeah, like she really struggled with that.
Yeah.
So she also struggled. Yeah, nope, I can't even imagine. So Teresa also struggled to figure out what to do with herself and her life. She went to college, she got a degree, but then she went off to like work on cruise ships. Right. So she worked on the Clipper cruises to Alaska that leave from Seattle.
Yeah.
And she also worked on a paddle boat on the Mississippi River. She was really kind of just like bopped around for quite a few years. She went back to Seattle for about a year in 1998, and she worked for one of her brothers who owned a catering company. And then she took a long road trip, and she ended up in New York visiting another brother which was Norbert Jr., and he was making a name for himself on Broadway. And so she ended up staying for a while with him and his wife and kids, and she was their nanny.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So eventually she heads back to Seattle. She buys herself a condo in Renton, which for those who aren't from around here, it's like a suburb kind of southeast of Seattle. And she jumps around in different jobs, quitting or being fired from a bunch of them until she lands a pretty good job working for a property management company where she worked in the city center building in downtown Seattle. She sells her condo and buys herself that little house in South Park in 2007. She's quoted as saying many times to many people, "I know it's not much, but it's mine."
Oh,
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day, Jennifer arrives at the building where Teresa works to start her new job. And Teresa is the one who takes Jennifer to get an ID badge. And it isn't long before the two are spending time outside of work together. And by the end of July in 2007, they are officially a couple.
Wow.
Jennifer Hopper is sort of from Seattle. She was actually born in Santa Fe in 1972 to Sam and Marcia Hopper, although Hopper is a made-up last name. Her parents were in hiding because her dad was AWOL from the military.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Her mom had dropped out of the UW to go sell beaded necklaces on the Ave.
Perfect.
And for those who don't know, UW is University of Washington, UW. And the Ave is like this kind of stretch. It's this stretch of road in the university district near the college that is just kind of known for being the party blocks for the college kids that live near campus there. And there's a lot of like kind of street rats. I don't know if it's as much like that now, but it was for a very long time. Just a lot of like kids and young adults just kind of living there, hanging out there. And just basically it was like a whole lifestyle.
Yeah, very eclectic.
So so she's selling beaded necklaces on the Ave, and then she decides to ditch that scene and she ends up in Santa Fe, and this is where she met Sam, Jennifer's dad. And they're living a pretty hippy dippy life down there, which is in stark contrast to Marcia's spoiled upbringing in Seattle.
Okay. Wow.
But Sam drank too much, and Marcia's parents had yet to meet their granddaughter, Jennifer. So she took Jennifer and went back to Seattle around 1974 when Jennifer was about 2. Marcia and Jennifer lived with Jennifer's grandparents, Marcia's parents, for about a year. And then they moved about a mile away into a small house that Marcia's parents owned where they wouldn't have to pay much in rent because Marcia was struggling as a single parent. Right. They were on food stamps and welfare. And then Marcia started having serious back problems that required multiple surgeries, none of which actually fixed the problem. And so she subsequently became dependent on prescription pain medication. Yeah. So, Jennifer is growing up, spending a lot of time with her grandparents, Marcia's parents, because they have to step in and kind of take care of this little girl because their daughter's, an addict and unable to work and support them very well.
And her
she
dad
also spends a lot of her dad's just like, not in the picture. Yeah. He never came with them or showed back up, but she did spend summers with his parents who lived in Eastern Washington.
Okay.
And Marcia struggled with her addiction and her back problems, and she's in and out of relationships with various men. And some of them, of course, are abusive to her and to Jennifer. So, Jennifer just kind of has, a lot of dings already. Right. So from a very young age, Jennifer is an entertainer. She has an incredible singing voice and she loves to put on a show. So of course she gets into theater as soon as she can. And once she gets high school, she goes to Roosevelt High School, which is known for its musical theater program. And she, of course, participates in that. And it's a place where the adults kind of become surrogate parents and her fellow performers are sort of siblings to her. So she gets a little bit of that, what she's not getting at home as well, beyond just the performing part. So everyone would agree that no one could sing like Jennifer could sing.
Wow.
Like her teachers were like, it's like a once in a career that they have a student like this.
Oh, I want to hear, are there clips of her?
I didn't find clips of her.
Oh, God.
So she never gets leading roles in any of the productions though, because of her size.
What the fuck?
Well, she's very tall. and she's not a skinny girl. She has olive skin and big brown eyes and jet black hair.
Mm-hmm.
She is described as having the voice of an ingenue, but not the body of one.
Fuck off.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
And while her voice would kill on Broadway, her teachers are certain that Broadway would chew her up and spit her out because she doesn't look like they will want her to look.
So fucking stupid.
I mean,
Wow.
yeah.
I know. That's
Yeah.
sad reality.
She struggles with her schoolwork. Her home life makes it difficult for her to focus, but she still gets accepted to the Boston Conservatory, which is known for training Broadway actors.
Wow. Good for her.
That's how good she is. Yeah. She gets like a full scholarship and everything. So Jennifer really tries, but she just can't seem to make it work in Boston. The conservatory is brutal and she just can't seem to fit in. And strangely enough, Jennifer heads back that first summer to Seattle to work on the Spirit of Seattle cruise line as a singing waitress.
That's awesome. Well,
She enjoys it. She has a really good time.
yeah.
And then after leaving the conservatory for a bit and enrolling in community college in Seattle, her old theater teacher from high school encourages her to go back to Boston and try again. And so she does. And this is when she starts to realize that she's probably gay. She had many friends in the theater who were gay. All of them were men, but she finally met a gay woman who she was surprised to find herself attracted to. Her friends are not surprised at all. They all saw it coming.
Right.
So Jennifer stays in Boston for a while. She goes back to Seattle for a while. She gets into a relationship with an older woman, and then she sets her sight on New York because how else will she get on Broadway?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But she keeps running into the same problem over and over. They love her voice. Her face is beautiful, but she's too big.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. So then something happens to her vocal cords that requires surgery. And she can't sing for like a really long time. Yeah, it takes like her recovery is like really long and protracted. So after a couple of relationships that don't work out and no Broadway career in sight, Jennifer sells her studio apartment in Brooklyn for a lot more than she paid for it. And she heads back to Seattle in the summer of 2006, a little less than a year before she will meet Teresa.
Okay.
By the summer of 2009, Teresa and Jennifer were planning their wedding, set to take place in September of that year. Their marriage wouldn't be legally recognized, but that didn't really matter to them. They wanted to commit to each other and spend their lives together.
Yeah.
The night before the attack, they had gone for food and drinks at their neighborhood hole in the wall, Loretta's. They loved that place. And they sat in their booth, the one that was always open when they got there for some reason.
Oh.
I know. They talked about their plans for their lives. Teresa wanted to work for herself and own her own business. She wanted to open a coffee house and movie theater and call it The Real Cafe.
That's really cute. Also, that would have
REEL.
Yeah, that would have done well in Seattle. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. They agreed that they would work their corporate jobs as long as they had to and save until they had the money they needed to go all in on this plan so that Teresa could live this dream. They talked about kids and who would carry them and how many they would have. The next day, before the night of the attack, they had gone for a fitting at the dressmaker's who was sewing Jennifer's wedding gown. They did a double-decker bus brewery tour of the city, which they'd started doing these, and they just had a really good time on these double-decker buses, going to brewers and drinking and hanging out. Yeah. They had gone to a friend's house in like North Seattle neighborhood for a party that was supposed to be a sleepover. But Teresa and Jennifer decided they didn't want to stay over and they headed home instead.
Oh, God. It's so painful when you hear the almost.
Yep.
God, I hate it.
Yep.
The almost got out of that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know. So I tell you about Teresa and Jennifer's lives leading up to their meeting and their relationship for a few reasons. One, I actually can because of this incredible book that Eli wrote, right? Which we know is so often not the case in these situations. How many times have I been like, she liked the color red, she was 12, and like, that's all we know. So, and because so often the focus of the reporting on these cases is that we cover is not the victims, it's like the perpetrators, right? Correct. And I get it. People are fascinated by like what makes a person tick like that, but you know what I mean? How many times have we lamented? Like, I can't tell you more about this person.
Yeah, it's awful.
And the other thing is, I think it's really important to the telling these events to emphasize the hard road these two women were on before they met each other and found the life that they wanted to live together, and to understand how tragic it was that the time they did have together was cut so short.
Yeah. Oh.
It didn't take long for police to track down a viable suspect in the attack on the 2 women that resulted in Teresa's murder. The man who brutalized them left behind a shit ton of prints and DNA. And when the DNA was put through the system, it came back with a hit just 4 days after the murder. DNA from the South Park crime scene matched DNA collected just over a year earlier as part of an unsolved break-in investigation in Auburn, a suburb southeast of Seattle, very close to Renton.
Mm-hmm.
And there was video footage of the break-in. It showed an unknown man wandering around the service entrance to Auburn City Hall on the evening of March 20th, 2008, looking for a door that might open, finding one, breaking in, then leaving a few minutes later empty-handed with his pit bull in tow.
What?
Yeah. So apparently an officer just 3 months out of the academy had done an intensely thorough investigation, considering nothing was stolen and very little damage was caused. But he sent traces of blood left on a broken lockbox to the state crime lab with no returning matches. So the video was stored away and the DNA sample just kept on file just in case.
Good for him. Good for the eager young officer.
Right?
I'm going to do everything here. Yeah, this is my time to shine.
Yes. So police released the video footage, right? They're calling on the public's help in identifying this man. And within a couple of hours, a call came in from a woman who said, "That's my boy on the video. Don't shoot him."
Oh.
When the detective who took the call asked the woman if she was sure, she replied, "Mister, I know my own boy and I recognize his dog." But she did not know where either of them were. Then another call came in from an officer who had responded earlier that morning to a call about an unruly passenger on a bus route south of Seattle. An alert went out to all the drivers for King County Metro, and only a few hours later, a driver radioed in that he was pretty sure the suspect just got off his bus around Magnuson Park. Magnuson Park is 350 acres and has a very large off-leash dog area. The man was
a few weeks ago.
Were you?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever been to Magnuson Park.
They have a big hangar building, and they were doing like a giant like flea market, arts and crafts type of thing. So I went there. Yeah. I'd never been either. Cool. It's huge. Yeah, it's fucking huge.
Yes, 350 acres. That is a giant park.
Yeah.
So the man was described as wearing a winter jacket and long pants, which was odd considering the unusually warm weather the city had been experiencing. He was also described as having a very strong smell, that of someone who had not showered in quite some time. An officer that was already in the park encountered him first and arrested him without incident. He had no identification on him, but they had the right man. His name was Isaiah Kalibu. Eli spends a great deal of book real estate going into Kalibu's background, trying to lay out some rational understanding of how his path crossed Teresa and Jennifer's path in such a horrific and tragic way. But there's no real answer in there. Kalibu did have a rough upbringing. His parents were both a mess in their own way. His father, abusive, his mother, a battered woman with severe physical impairment, only made worse by her husband's abuse. Kalibu's mother would also say she is certain that Isaiah, suffered from schizophrenia, a condition that others in her family tree also suffered from, along with a host of other mental health problems in her genetic line.
Right.
And there were definitely points along the way in Kalibu's life where the right intervention or the right therapy or the right amount of support may have altered his trajectory. As much as Eli's book is a portrait of 2 women's lives and how they found love with each other, it is also an indictment of the mental health care system in the U.S., or really the lack thereof, and how it fails all of us by failing people like Kalibu.
Yeah. And how old is Kalibu?
At this time, I think he's like 21. Because the trial is like 2 years later, and I believe he's either 21 or 22, because I think he was 23 or 24 at trial. Okay. 2 weeks after his arrest, Kalibu pleaded not guilty and was held on a $10 million bail pending trial.
Shit. Okay.
As the prosecution dug into him further to build their case, and Kalibu's attorneys prepared for his defense, the picture that emerged was upsetting and infuriating. He had alienated everyone in his family in the months and years leading up to the murder. The police had been called on more than one occasion due to his violent and threatening outbursts with his mother and his sister. But more often than not, what he had done was not enough to arrest him or commit him.
God, I hate that. I fucking hate that so much.
He was never arrested for anything very serious, and the one time he did end up at Harborview to be evaluated as a danger to himself or others, he was released in less than a day and deemed to be just fine.
Mm-hmm.
He was also sent to Western State at one point for an eval by order of the judge that was overseeing one of his arrest cases, and they only kept him a few days and said there was absolutely nothing wrong with him.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck? God.
It also came to light that 10 days prior to the South Park attack, Rachel Kalibu, Isaiah Kalibu's aunt, died in an arson at her home near Tacoma. Also killed in the fire was J.J. Jones, a former quarterback for the New York Jets who had fallen on hard times, lost his home in foreclosure, moved to the Pacific Northwest, and then moved in with Rachel to help her care for 2 sick and elderly family members. After the 2 elderly relatives had passed away, JJ stayed on living in Rachel's basement as a roommate. Come to find out that Rachel had been having concerning and potentially violent encounters with Kalibu and had filed a restraining order against him, and JJ had been encouraging her for some time to cut ties with him.
Oh my God.
Now police suspected that Kalibu may have been the one to set that fire that killed his aunt and JJ.
Oh my God.
But prior to that, they didn't have any leads.
Mm-hmm. What did they think was the cause of the fire?
I don't know. They knew it was arson, but they didn't have a suspect. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Or maybe, I don't know. I don't know.
Hmm.
Once he was in custody and all the legal proceedings for Teresa and Jennifer's attack were underway, it all got murkier. On the one hand, his defense team wanted to use the insanity defense. And on some days, it would seem they would be correct. But on the other hand, no doctors who spoke with Kalibu or evaluated him could agree on what was going on with him.
Mm-hmm.
The Western State doctors saw him again and doubled down on their original findings. He was smart and well-read and articulate and had no mental health issues at all.
Wow. And the insanity defense is so hard to get that to work for you. I mean,
yes.
And
yes.
he has all this former documentation from more than one evaluation saying that he's fine.
Right.
Oh,
Other
God.
doctors said he was bipolar or had dissociative disorder. Some doctors wanted to medicate him. County jail doctors did not. And his court appearances were also as wildly different as these opinions. Some days in court, he was poised and calm and articulate. And other times he was disruptive and manic and said shit that made no sense.
Oh, wow.
The trial itself was a massive undertaking. I think at the end of the day, it all came out in total. I mean, it cost the taxpayers like, I think close to $1 million just to try this case.
Shit.
Seating a jury was incredibly difficult. One of the reasons was because this trial was going to take a long time to get through.
Mm-hmm.
The other reason was because the jurors would have to sit through Jennifer's testimony and hear in excruciating detail everything that had happened that sweltering July night in 2009 that ended in the murder of her would-be wife. Jennifer would say that the hero of this whole ordeal was Teresa. Others would say it's Jennifer because she spent 3 days on that witness stand doing just that, telling a room full of people, many of whom were strangers, what Kalibu did to her and the love of her life. And before I tell you what happened that night, I will preface it by saying that after the trial was over, the judge offered all the jurors court-funded therapy.
Holy shit. Oh, God.
Okay. So we're going to get into it. I'm going to tell you what happened.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you an abbreviated version of what happened. And mostly what I'm telling you comes straight from that Pulitzer Prize winning article. So this is published information. This is not like deeper than what was in like the book that, or, you know what I mean? This isn't like I got more from the book or whatever. Like this is what was in the article that Eli Sanders wrote for The Stranger. Okay. Jennifer doesn't know what time it was or how long she and Teresa had been sleeping when she woke up with a start. Quote, "There was a man that I could see was naked, standing over the bed with a knife in his right hand, and the knife immediately went to my throat." She gasped. She thought, this is a dream. Quote, "And then it's just processing that there's a person here and something's going to happen."
Mm-hmm.
He told her to be quiet. He told her he didn't want to hurt her. He told her, quote, "I just want pussy." She wasn't sure if Teresa was awake or not, but she was afraid to look away from him to check. but Teresa must have been, because he then told Teresa to take her clothes off. Teresa told him she was on her period, and he said he didn't care.
Okay.
He started the sexual assault with Teresa. He held onto the knife the whole time, keeping it ready. Jennifer told the courtroom, quote, "I was as still as humanly possible. I feel like I tried to put my arm as close to her as possible so she would know that I was there. I was terrified. I thought he'd kill us with the knife. I'd already had it to my throat. Already it was clear, the energy was, if you don't do what he says, he'll kill her. It wasn't just our own lives that we were worried about. I know when I laid there still, I was thinking, if I am good, he won't hurt her."
Oh.
Then he told Jennifer to undress and Teresa to perform oral sex on Jennifer. Teresa got into position and pretended to, while the man walked around the bedroom and closed all the windows.
Oh, shit.
He sexually assaulted Jennifer next. After that first round, as he called it, he stood next to the dresser, staring blankly, and said, quote, "Don't get too excited. That was just round 1. All right, get ready for round 2.
Oh my God, that is fucking chilling.
When the prosecutor asked Jennifer how many rounds there were altogether, she said 3. So, an excerpt from Eli Sanders' piece in The Stranger sums it up. "The horror of what happened next made the court reporter's eyes well up, made the bailiff cry, had the whole room in tears. The jury handed around a box of tissues. The prosecutor took long pauses to collect himself. The family and friends in the courtroom cried, though, truth be told, they had been crying throughout. The Seattle Times reporter seated next to me cried. I cried. The camerawoman who was shooting video for all the television stations in town cried, and later on hugged Jennifer as she left the courtroom for the mid-morning break. Perhaps it is enough to restate how one of the 2 prosecuting attorneys summarized the attacks in opening arguments at the beginning of the trial. Kalibu, this prosecutor said, quote, raped them every imaginable way, vaginally, anally, orally. He wasn't wearing a condom. He ejaculated several times." Jennifer also recounted how Kalibu smelled, which was clean, that his build was muscular, his race was black, how he had very little hair on his body, that his voice was soft, the speed of his speech medium, and how, other than using the word pussy, which kind of seemed lower brow, to be honest, the rest of his speech was very intelligent. Before one of his assaults on Teresa, he asked if they had lube, which they did not, and he said, too bad for her. He asked if they were lesbians or bisexuals. They didn't know the best answer to that question. They asked him if he had seen them before, and he said he had not. They tried to talk to him and humanize themselves. They asked him not to hurt them. They told him they were good people. He said, yeah, you seem like you're good people. I wish we could have been friends.
What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Right? Teresa replied, yeah, I wish we could. And Jennifer said on the stand, quote, which is exactly what she would do. Even in that moment, she wanted to make some sort of connection. She said, maybe we still can. And he said, do I seem like a good person to you? And she put the tips of her fingers on his chest. I will never, ever forget this. And said, I am sure there is some good in here. He said, no more questions.
Oh, God.
At one point, Teresa made a grab for the knife, and both Kalibu and Jennifer told her not to do that. You okay? The assaults became more violent and brutal. Jennifer thought, he's not going to kill me with a knife, but he is going to kill me this way.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, God.
Then she heard Teresa say, why are you cutting me? Why are you cutting me?
Oh.
Then he took them into another room where he retrieved another knife from the pocket of a pair of jeans he'd left in there. And that's when Jennifer knew that this man was going to kill them. He took them back into the bedroom, made them both get in the bed on their backs. Then he climbed up and put a knee on each of their chests. And that's when he started cutting and stabbing.
Oh, my God.
He was cutting their throats, stabbing Teresa's chest, and then stabbing them both. Jennifer felt blood spurt more when she was struggling to deflect the blows. So she kind of just stopped struggling. And then Teresa pushed and kicked him off the bed, and Jennifer screamed, get him. He punched Teresa in the face. An autopsy showed that her 3 bottom teeth were broken and pushed back. And Teresa grabbed the nightstand, which was just this tiny little metal table, and she started kind of pushing him back with it. And then she threw the table through the window and pushed herself through the jagged glass, falling to the ground outside.
Oh my God, what a fucking badass.
Yes, this is exactly why Jennifer calls her the hero.
Mm-hmm.
She got up, sprinted to the curb, ran into the street, and then she collapsed.
Oh.
Jennifer and the man standing in the bedroom looked at each other, and then he ran out of the room. So Jennifer ran to the front door, and of course she struggled to open it because her hands were soaked with blood.
Mm-hmm.
And once she was outside, she ran across the street, started pounding on her neighbor's door, but there was no answer. No one was home. So that's when she ran back into the middle of the street and started screaming for help.
Yeah.
And we know what happened after that.
Mm-hmm.
Kalibu was so erratic and unpredictably disruptive in his court appearances prior to trial that he was effectively kicked out of the courtroom, left to watch it all from another room on another floor of the courthouse from a closed circuit TV, strapped into a restraint chair and dressed in a suicide smock.
Oh, good.
He had tried to fire his public defenders more than once, but the judge wouldn't allow it. He was angry at their attempts to use the insanity defense, declaring there was nothing wrong with him. He needed no mental health services or medications.
Okay.
Near the end of the trial, he did insist on taking the stand in his own defense, although the judge declared he would have to do it in a question and answer format. Like, you don't get to just monologue up there.
No.
Dude.
No.
Right. So his defense attorney posed some questions that Kalibu wanted her to ask. Mr. Kalibu, do you know anything about the events that occurred in the early morning hours of July 19th, 2009? I was there, he replied, and I was told by my God and the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to attack my enemies. I did so. I followed the instructions by God.
Oh, okay.
There were not many relevant questions after that, as they would pertain to his mental health and any diagnosis he had received. His last statement stricken from the record, and the jurors told to disregard it.
Wow. Fuck.
Once the jury received their instructions and were sent to deliberate, the trial had lasted almost an entire month.
Shit.
On July 1st, 2011, almost 2 years after Teresa's murder and 2 days of deliberations, the jury found Isaiah Kalibu guilty on all counts: aggravated premeditated murder in the first degree, felony murder, attempted premeditated murder, rape in the first degree, and burglary in the first degree. This verdict came with a mandatory life sentence without the possibility of parole.
Mm-hmm.
At his sentencing hearing, Teresa's father read a statement in which he said, "He took her life, but he couldn't take her spirit and her soul. She still lives with us daily. We have a tree planted in our backyard. It's called Teresa's tree, and I watch it grow every day, and that's a blessing."
Oh.
Jennifer read her victim impact statement as well, which said in part, directly to Isaiah, "I knew that I couldn't let today go by without again addressing you. I realized that there may be nothing I can say to you because I did beg you for my life, and she begged you for her life. And I tried to show you our humanity and any shred of goodness that I was hoping you could see. And it didn't matter that day. So I can't understand how it would matter today. But I do say to you that I do wish you peace and I do not hate you. And I'm so sorry for whatever it is in your life that brought you to this. I wish you no harm. I never wanted you put to death. I don't seek revenge. I don't want anything bad to happen to you in prison. Nothing. I wish you peace every last day of your life. That's all I have to say."
Holy shit. These sound like the coolest two women ever. I don't think I could do
Ever. I know.
that. Oh, wow.
Isaiah used his chance to speak to go on a tirade about gay marriage and polygamy before the judge kind of let him spin out, which didn't take that long, and then asked him, "Are you finished?" When he handed down the sentence, he said, quote, "In our system of justice, symbols are important. What we do is important, and what we say is important. Jennifer Hopper and the family of Teresa Butz, and indeed even members of the jury, deserve to know that this defendant's brutality and the horror of that evening warrants the maximum penalty that I can impose under the law."
Good.
The judge used Isaiah's life expectancy to calculate an exceptional sentence of life without parole plus what basically amounted to 2 more life sentences.
Good.
And that is the literal TLDR on Teresa Butz and Jennifer Hopper. And if you are even remotely interested to know more about what that was all about diving in on the mental health system, how people slip through the cracks, any of that. And just good true crime writing. I would absolutely recommend While the City Slept. That was an incredible book.
Yeah, I want to read that. Holy shit, sister. That was heavy.
I know. I'm so glad I'm over it. I mean, I'm done. Like I've been I've been dying to sit down and record and just like give this to you and the Chaos Kids so I can be like, it's not mine. It's not all mine anymore.
Yeah. That is devastating.
I cried so many times reading that book. I can't even.
I
almost cried telling you the story just now.
Yeah.
I held it in today.
Well, I hope Jennifer's doing well as well.
I think she is.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I was going to go and find out more about what's going on with Jennifer today. And then I was like, man, this is already almost 20 pages and I'm going to be taking up way too much of your time as it is. So I just go read the book. It's so good. Or go look up Jennifer Hopper and Teresa Butz and see what she's doing. And I know that her and some of the friends and family have put together some kind of not-for-profit or fundraising event organization that they do. I'm not exactly sure what the funds go for, but it's in honor of Teresa. And I know that Jennifer gets out there and does some fun time singing once in a while. They had some kind of event at the Neptune a few years back and Belinda Carlisle was there. Well, Belinda Carlisle sang with Jennifer on stage at the Neptune. Yeah, she's got her own organization that she's a part of that she raises money for. And she was really, and she was also inspired by Teresa's story. Like she had heard Teresa's story and wanted to be a part of what they were doing for Teresa's memory. So anyway, yeah, that's the horrific story that I never knew about that happened in our city.
I never heard that story.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's fucking horrific.
It was so bad.
Oh, I don't even know how to transition.
We're gonna do like we've done before. It's like we're filming. It's like take two.
Okay.
Chaos. Okay.
Oh,
here we
I'll
go.
also start by telling you that tonight I'm drinking 9 hats.
I'm sorry, okay. I forgot to ask you.
I forgot. 9 hats from Columbia Valley. It's a red. It's got
Excellent.
9 cute little hats on the label.
Oh, that's adorable.
It's adorable. Okay, so do you know the name Tana Mojo?
No.
Okay, well, I didn't either. So I'm going to tell you about Tana Mojo. She's a YouTuber and an influencer.
Okay.
I tried to watch some of her YouTube shows to get an idea of like what her show is about, and I still don't know.
What? You're gonna make us all go look?
Yeah. So she's a YouTuber and a singer.
You can't even give me like an approximation or.
Well, here's my sure. She kickstarted her career with a show on YouTube called Story Time, and it's videos all about her crazy life. She then moved into music and reality TV. In April 2009, she had an MTV show called No Filter, Tana Turns 21.
Oh, no.
She's best known for sparking controversy online, releasing rap videos with Bella Thorne.
I know the name Bella Thorne, but I'm too old to know what Bella Thorne means.
And doing odd play-by-plays of people having sex.
What?
I don't know.
Like she narrates what's happening?
I think so.
But we're not watching it? She's just telling us?
Yeah.
Or are we watching it with her?
I didn't get that far. And I watched as much as I could tolerate. She has a couple million followers. And I'm like,
Stop it. I don't understand. Is she really, really pretty?
I think she looks
face
like Lindsay Lohan with blonde hair.
I mean, Lindsay Lohan's pretty.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're on the wrong platform apparently here we are doing like thesis papers every week, audio editing, and this girl's just doing play-by-plays of sex, and she's got like 6 million followers. I don't know.
I mean, okay. Well, you know what? It's fine. Good for her.
Yeah. So in 2018, Tana decides to have her own version of VidCon.
Okay.
VidCon is like Comic-Con, but for
But
YouTubers.
for like YouTubers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She says it's going to be free. Well, yeah.
She's going to put on her own con.
Tanacon.
I love it. She doesn't know what she's signing up for because like it's like Fyre Fest. Like you don't know the amount of actual money and work and resource it takes to actually put on a festival or to actually put on a convention, right?
So funny.
Is this where we're going? Yes.
This has been dubbed the Fyre Fest of YouTube.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm. So
just throwing luggage at FEMA tents.
Yes.
Yes.
So she starts this by making a very long, like over hour long video rant about how shitty the VidCon promoters had been to her in the past. So after her long rant of this, the organizers for VidCon reached out to her and said that they were removing her from their list for the convention. And not only that, but she would be banned for life. So she's like,
wait, because she did that rant?
Because she did a rant. Yeah.
So their response to "you guys are shitty to me" is to be shittier?
Yeah.
Okay. Just checking.
So, after that happened, she's like, fuck you. I'm going to do my own VidCon. I'm going to do Tanacon. And
okay.
God.
You know what? Any decision made out of spite is always a fun time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm going to show them. Oh no.
That's right. That's exactly right. Although in 12-step programs, a lot of people say all you need to start a meeting is a coffee pot and a resentment. You know what I mean? Like that's how like a lot of meetings get started. Like, fuck this meeting, fuck everybody in it. I'm going to go start my own meeting.
Yeah. Well, that's what she did.
Yeah.
So, a few more than 80 influencers who would normally be at VidCon tweeted that they were siding with Tana and that they would be at Tanacon instead. Okay.
I mean, 80 is not nothing.
No, it's not. So just like VidCon, it's going to be a 2-day event, June 22nd and 23rd. This is 2018.
Okay.
And it would be on the same day and the same time right down the street from VidCon.
Okay, now this is their first mistake.
Mm-hmm.
You don't compete directly with the big Mama Jamma. That's not...
I mean, that's the least of her problems right now. So...
I mean, sure.
Oh, God. So she works with an event planning company called Good Times. And this is an event planning company that was started by a 17-year-old high school student. And at this point, he's like 20.
Oh my God, I'm going to pee my pants. Good times. These are the good times.
I know. God.
This is so good. Okay. Look, let me tell you something. Having just come off of like conference season and been a part of putting on an actual booth on the show floor of a conference where we hired like the services of a quote unquote legitimate company who does this for a living all the time and has been around for a long time, we still had issues with our booth. So 20 years old. Okay.
Yep.
Great.
Mm-hmm. So all the other influencers who agreed to attend were under the impression that they just had to show up and that Tana and her Good Times were taking care of everything.
Everything?
Because that's what she led them to believe. So by her own admission, Tana had zero experience planning an event.
Of any kind. She's probably never even planned a brunch. You know what I mean?
I don't think so. Nope.
She's never even like made a charcuterie board. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I love a charcuterie board.
do not even get me started. Charcuterie is serious business.
It's so
Charcuterie
delicious.
is serious business.
Yeah.
So good.
That basically was what I had tonight, only in a sandwich.
There you go. Exactly. Olives, cured meats,
cured
good
meat,
cheese.
good
I
cheese.
got you. Yes.
Yeah.
I got you. Yes.
God, it was
Yes.
delicious.
Yes.
Thank you for the recommendation. Okay.
You're so muffalata, you guys. Muffalata.
Muffalata. Delicious. So her Tanacon was going to be free, but fans could purchase what she called feature fucking creator tickets for $40 to $65 that offered gift bags and exclusive meet and greets with creators.
I mean, how hard is it to meet and greet if there's only like 80 of them?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So Tana told the Good Times owner that she was going to meet 5,000 people, that the goodie bags would be super posh, and they kept trying to tell her that what she was asking for wasn't possible. And she's sending out tweets 2 weeks prior to the event to her fans, telling them that all of this is going to happen, and she still doesn't have a venue.
What? She doesn't have a venue? What? And it's free, but she's going to give out posh bags to people who pay, but they haven't paid yet?
Well, no. The people who have paid the $40 to $65 range was the gift bags and the exclusive meet and greet. But you still need a ticket. Yeah. Those are costing her money. And they've given out 5,000 tickets because they're free, but they have no venue and they don't know that they can actually accommodate 5,000 people. She put the cart before the horse, I guess is what I'm saying.
You know what? It's time to call FEMA. Do you guys have some tents lying around? You can borrow.
Shit.
We just use those in a parking lot somewhere.
Oh my God. What about a single head of iceberg lettuce that we can chop up and call a gourmet salad? So the space that Good Times was finally able to reserve was inside the Anaheim Marriott Hotel. And the max capacity for the conference room was 1,018.
They got a conference room at a Marriott. They got like the ballroom at the Marriott.
I think so, and also sort of the lobby from what it sounds like.
Okay,
so we'll get there. So
I mean, there's no way around it. They're gonna be in the lobby.
Oh yeah. Oh,
that's happening regardless. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. So people start arriving really early in the morning on June 22nd and lining up in the hotel parking lot. And there was no organization as far as individuals with the free ticket versus those who paid for the VIP ticket. It's all just
the free for all.
Exactly. The first 1,000 were let in, which brought the space to capacity, leaving the other 4,000 outside in the parking lot.
In Anaheim?
In Anaheim in June. They
God.
stood outside in the California heat in the parking lot for 6 hours with no food or water.
It is the Fyre Fest of cons.
Yes. Meanwhile,
they really did need FEMA tents.
They did.
From the sun.
Oh my God.
Need some shade up in here. Oh my God.
So inside, the guests were wandering through empty hallways with no activities and no food or water.
So being inside didn't make it better, except that you weren't being beaten by the California sun.
One person tweeted, "I wasted $150 on Tanacon. It's one hallway, one big concert room, and no activities."
So they just rented the space and called it good?
I guess. I don't fucking know.
I mean, look, Here's the deal, though. Like, you don't have to have ever put on an event to know that your event needs to be an event beyond just like showing up in a space. Like, you know what I mean?
These people could have wandered into the Marriott at any time for free. Like what?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is so dumb. And how is this guy, this what good times guy? How does the good times people not know this
Doogie
is not a
Howser
good time?
There's footage of Doogie Howser good times, and he's just beat bopping around on a Segway with like an earpiece. I'm not kidding.
Doing what?
Just making sure everything's a-okay.
That the doors are unlocked to the giant room
I'm
that
not
has
kidding.
nothing
He's got
in
like
it.
a whistle, and he's just all. I don't fucking know.
What?
So then the people inside are informed that they can't leave and come back in because of the people waiting outside, which meant that nobody inside was willing to leave because of how long it took to get in there in the first place. So
But,
all
like,
of those people were left out.
But wait a minute, there's nothing going on inside. So like, why are they even staying?
I think people kept waiting, thinking that like maybe they were running behind and something good is going to happen anytime and we don't want to miss it. It was after people were getting very hungry and thirsty that they couldn't tolerate it any longer. So by 2:00 that day, the fire marshal shut the convention down for having too many people around. Mm-hmm.
What really happened is the hotel was like, this fucking nonsense. Somebody call the fire department and get this shit cleared out.
They're like, nobody reserved this room. What is everybody doing?
Well, plus they're all in the lobby and like wandering the fucking first floor of this hotel, just in the way, not getting I mean, there's no value. There's no value in them letting that continue on.
Fucking nightmare. So security or Doogie Howser on the Segway ushered everybody outside. At one point, Doogie Howser went out to the parking lot on his Segway and he was like, is everybody having fun? And everyone was like, fuck no!
It would only be better if the mob just like took him, like yanked him off the Segway and just absorbed him into the crowd.
God. Oh, okay. So all the people outside never made it inside.
Sure.
Several took to Instagram Live to show severe sunburns. One 14-year-old girl was taken to the hospital because she was passing out from the heat.
Oh, Jesus.
Among other issues, the VIP ticket holders complained that the gift bags, which were only included with the purchase of the VIP ticket, and they were promised by Tana to be worth quadruple the price, had small items like a wristband and condoms branded Tana condoms. So stupid.
I mean, that's clever, but that's not a posh gift bag.
No. So when they come out to tell everybody that it's being shut down and to come back tomorrow for day 2, then the crowd all starts chanting that they want a refund.
Come back tomorrow for round 2.
It was a 2-day event.
But this time, bring sunscreen and water and pack a lunch.
It's a 2-day non-event. Yeah, please can I do more of this tomorrow?
I'm dying.
And the thing is like the audience of these YouTubers are like teeny boppers, right?
Yeah.
And most of them aren't necessarily from California. So while it might have been a $40 ticket or a free ticket, people paid for flights, hotel rooms, right? It sucks.
Right.
So early the next morning of what was supposed to be day 2 of this event, Good Times released a statement saying the event was canceled until further notice.
Till further notice? Like what? 2 hours further notice.
Just hang around in Anaheim for a few weeks. Oh my God. By the following month in July, people did start to receive their refunds for the purchased Tanacon tickets. However, a large percentage of the attendees, like I said, were not from California, and people had traveled from all over the US to attend the festival and spent hundreds, and in some cases, thousands for airfare and hotel rooms. Several people took to social media to express their intention of filing lawsuits to recoup all of their funds, but I wasn't able to find any lawsuits that have been filed regarding that. It was just the refund of the VIP tickets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was it. That was fucking Tanacon. She went off social media for like 3 months and then went on and like issued an apology. And she's blaming Good Time Entertainment, and Good Time is blaming her.
I mean, of course. Or come on, they're both wrong. They're both.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then I think as of 2021, she was invited back to VidCon.
Oh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good for her. So she's still going strong on the YouTubes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she didn't lose very many of her loyal fans.
No.
Well, because there's, no such thing as bad publicity, right?
Well, see, that was one of the theories floating around, that all of this was on purpose.
She made it a shit show by design?
Yeah.
I don't know what's worse. Especially since that one girl had to go to the hospital because she was like having like a sunstroke. Like,
sorry.
Jesus. I mean, right? That would happen, essentially.
I hope that I find a still shot of Good Times on the Segway.
Please.
I loved it. I fucking loved it so much. I was like,
you
what
can
is
make
this
a
guy
still
doing?
shot. You can make a still shot. You have to get that for us.
Mm-hmm. I got this story from Jade.
From Jade?
Yeah, because she's all into the YouTube. She's like,
oh
have
yeah,
you heard
she
of
knows.
Tanacon? I'm like, no. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Oh, Sissy, that was good. I needed that.
Thanks. Me too.
After the first half of the show. Jesus Christ.
Doozy.
Oh, well, thank you. Do you have anything for the good of the order today?
I don't have anything for the good of the order today.
Me either. I mean, just the usual, right? Like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're on all the things. You can follow me on Twitter at Misnomers. You can send us mail, email. Yeah, you send love letters to Amber. You can send hate mail to me, and they both go to the same inbox. It is crimewineandchaos@gmail.com. Amber's in a band. She's a rock star. Tinfoil Top Hat. They're also on all the things. Go find them. Check them out. They are rocking. And thanks for listening today, you guys. Sorry to bring the big, fat, mamma jamma bummer. And shit, that was fucking
really
chaotic.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Crime, Wine, and Chaos is produced by 8th Direction Records. Artwork by Joshua M. Davis. Music by Paul Abner. If you would like to support the show, you can visit our Patreon page at crimewineandchaos.com/Patreon. Cheers. Tanacon.
Mufalata.
9 hats.